Hello, this is Jules Mulcahy. I'm the Damsels in Success Director for Enfield, and this is our Health and Wellbeing webinar for Feeding Your Soul. Now, this webinar is designed to focus us on our nutrition and the way we feed ourselves, the best way we can do that, so that we honour ourselves and honour our planet. So let's kick off. Now, what's lovely is the thought of sharing this webinar with a lovely group of women. And as you can see with Felicia Rashad's lovely quote there, anytime women come together with a collective intention, it is a powerful thing and magic happens. Now, I don't know about you, but this particular theme of feeding your soul really excites me. I am a life coach and an energy worker, and I work with women with emotional eating issues, and I basically work with them about their beliefs, about their energy, about past memories and traumas, and it really is about getting the mind and body connection going. I don't claim to be a nutrition expert, although I know I eat what is good for me. I don't claim to helping women with dieting. In fact, I believe diets to be something that most of us need to move away from. We need to move further into having pleasure and pleasant experiences in our relationship with food, and move away from an idea of deprivation, which is what I see diets being. So let's get on. All right, success strategy number one is we are what we eat. So you need to think about, what is it that you currently have in your diet, have as your choice of food for you and for your family, and then go a little bit deeper. It's not just about what we eat, it's about how we eat. It's about how we take time to eat the nutritional food that we put on our plate. It is about how we make it an important part of our lifestyle. It is, in my opinion, something that I have been getting better and better at over the years. And one of the reasons that my own lifestyle with regards to eating, with regards to health and nutrition has improved is because my husband has had so many digestion issues throughout the years. He's had some particularly difficult health problems. Some of that has impacted on his ability to work. And it is only now that over the time that I have been working and investigating how to get a balance right, and he has started to listen, that his health is starting to blossom. He really has taken on the idea of eating more healthily. It's not completely there, but it is a work in progress. So one of the things I'd like you to think about is how you actually eat. And I've created a little poll, and what I'd love you to do is have a quick go. And I'm hoping that I'm going to get this right, because this is the first time I've used a poll, and I'll keep it on there. It's about your relationship with food. Do you, for example, take your time and enjoy your food? Are you fully present when you eat? Is it something that you have a nice ritual. Possibly you sit down with your family, you sit at the table, you take away other forms of distractions. You're not there with your phone, you're not there with your laptop, you're not there with the TV. It is a place where you come together as a family, or you just sit and be present with your food. Or do you, and I know I have done this in the past, rush your food and usually have other things on your mind? I know that when I was working as a teacher, my lunch times often were like this. I used to rush my food, I used to be marking, I used to have so many other distractions going on that it was almost like, did I eat? Sometimes I didn't actually eat, I'd forget. Or are you somebody who eats things that you think are bad for you, and then you punish yourself and feel guilty afterwards? Are you putting food into your body that you actually are, and having the words in your head, I shouldn't eat this, it will make me fat. I shouldn't eat this, it's bad for me. I shouldn't eat this, I know it's rubbish. And the last two, do you eat to live, or do you live to eat? Now, the difference between those two is, do you see food purely as a fuel for your body? Or do you see food as something that you can gain pleasure from, that you can really enjoy, and that you know it's something that is giving you nutrition, that you are enjoying the taste sensation, all of those? And it's just a minor difference, but it is huge when it comes to how we are looking after ourselves. Now back many centuries, Hippocrates actually said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. And it seems to me that there's a resurgence of this back in our society. The idea of processed food and fast food and just fueling our bodies has brought with it a major impact on our society, and obesity and ill health is on the increase. And what is lovely is that for me, and possibly my focus on nutrition, is I am seeing more and more people choosing a new way of being, a new way of having a relationship with their food. And so they are considering more and more about what it is that they put into their body. If it is something that's fueling your body, what are you putting in? Do you know? Are you taking time to read the labels if you are eating processed food? Or alternatively, are you buying fresh and then going from there to really fuel your body, eating lots of fruit, eating lots of vegetable, and making sure that everything that you are eating is something that you find a pleasure? Success strategy number 2 carries on this theme. It's about cooking from scratch where you can and sharing the love energy. Now, I think everyone gets cooking from scratch. That's basically, it will take more time, yes, but at least you will be aware of what it is that you are putting into your food. The other part for me is of just as much importance. It's about when you are cooking from scratch, how are you doing that? Is it in a rush? Or are you just getting processed food and sticking it in the oven and just running off and doing something else? Where is the energy that you are putting into your food? Where is the energy you are sharing with your family? For me, now, and it's not always been the case, but for me now, when I prepare my evening meals, as particularly because that's when we come together as a family and sit down, just as I did as I was a child with my mum and dad and my brothers and sisters, I prepare my food. I'll often put music on in the background. I'll sing along, I'll dance, I will actually think about what it is I'm doing. So when I'm chopping up, say, my carrots or my courgettes or any of the other wealth of vegetables that I will include into my dinner, I will think about my children, my husband, and myself eating them. And I will be thinking, oh, I'm sending love to this carrot, for example, and I'm putting in lots of loving vibrational energy into it. And I'm thinking about how thankful I am. I employ the use of gratitude, and it's something where I really truly believe makes my experience of cooking so much better, but two, I'm pretty sure that I burn my food less, and I used to burn food all the time, because I'm taking more of a concerted effort into making it with love. I'm not rushing anymore. I'm slowing down, and it's such a big part of my health and well-being journey. It is, in essence, one of the biggest turnarounds you can make if you struggle with any issues around food. So success strategy number 2 for me is really important, and it is where you can. There isn't this idea that we can always cook from scratch. There isn't this idea that you can't sometimes just take an easier option. Sometimes we are in more of a rush, but if you're bringing in the love energy anyway, and you are having those moments where you are sharing a meal that possibly you brought in some takeaway into the house, or you've gone to a restaurant, then you can still be grateful. You can still think about it in that love, with that loving energy, and that will make a huge difference at turning any issues you might have around your nutritional. Because for me, it is about what we eat, but just as much, and maybe an equal partner, it is who we are as eaters. And who we are as eaters is whether we eat fast, if we eat slow, if we take time out and really enjoy the process. So I'm going to just expand on this success strategy a little bit more, and particularly around the love energy. I want you just to think about your own relationship with food. And I want you to think about particularly whether you are being present when you are eating. And I'm going to share with you a beautiful moment I had this month while visiting the lovely Cara's South Manchester group, where in the part at the end of the session, Cara had asked everyone to bring in some food with them. She asked them to bring in something that they found easy, that they enjoyed, that would be something they would be happy to share. And then the table was set, and we all sat around the table, and we ate in silence. That was probably quite actually the hardest thing, because obviously when you're in a group of women, you really do want to talk. And it was sitting in silence, and it was giving over our appreciation to the food we were eating. And it had such a big impact on each and every woman in the group. It was interesting afterwards to talk about it, and for some of us it was difficult, especially possibly in relation to, you know, when something was passed to us, not saying thank you, but it meant that you were looking the other person in the eye a little bit more. It deepened the relationships in many ways. There were at least 2 women in the group who had digestion issues. One was a celiac, and the other one had other allergies. And so they had to be really mindful about which food they chose. And it was interesting that afterwards they said instinctively they knew which foods they could and couldn't eat. And that's really important. There is so much that we can do on an instinctive and intuitive level when we slow down, when we give ourselves the time to eat and do it with a pleasure mode rather than a stress mode. And that moves us on to our next strategy. The success strategy for number 3, after we've had this quote, is, and I want you to, every time you eat or drink, you are either feeding disease or fighting it. This, I do think, is part and parcel to the way we eat. It is about, if we are eating and having negative voices going on in our head, if we are eating at speed and rushing our food, if we are not taking time out, we are more than likely within a stress mode. And when we are in stress, our digestive system switches off. We don't digest food in the same way we would if we're relaxed and we're calm, because our body is working on the fact that there is possible danger around us, and we are therefore likely to be in fight or flight mode and ready to act at a moment's notice. And now there doesn't actually have to be any real danger around us. We as humans have the ability to create our stresses all by ourselves, just by the thoughts we think. I don't know, I could be thinking of somebody who I've had an argument with, possibly last week, and I'm churning it over and I'm getting myself into a really stressful feeling, but there isn't anybody else with me. So yeah, we have the power to bring ourselves into stress mode. And when we're eating fast, our body will be, it almost intuitively will think, well, if we're rushing, why are we rushing? Is there some danger around? And so we can put ourselves into stress just from the way we eat. So if there is something, you know, every time you eat or drink and you just took a little bit more time, you took a little bit more care, and you gave yourself maybe a technique like taking 6 to 10 deep, slow breaths. Because when we take time out to breathe slowly, to breathe in deeply, we in itself bring back our calm mode. Shallow breathing, quick eating, all are part of the stress process. And then success strategy number 3. I've put 2 in there. And the reason I've done that is because both, in my mind, are equally important. Sometimes you know, the idea of dieting, the idea of deprivation can make us think, oh, well, we don't want to necessarily focus on ditching or giving anything up. However, the idea of sugar, and possibly the white variety more than any other, you will get sweetness in food naturally. You have lots of natural flavors, and there are ways of creating an amazing flavorsome meal should you add herbs, spices. And if you want to add sweetness, there are things like coconut sugar, there is maple syrup, there's honey, and there's, you know, natural sugars in lots of fruits. So we don't really need to be adding sugar, and yet when you look at labels for processed food, you will see that there is sugar in all varieties, and it's almost like reading a chemical ingredients because they've added so much. So where you begin to focus and start cooking from scratch, in essence, you will start to ditch more sugar. If you are somebody who likes to add sugar to things, like you might like to add sugar to coffee or to tea, then start to cut down. It doesn't have to be that you stop straight away, but start to focus in on it. And it's very, very quick and easy to notice new tastes, and it's possibly one of the easiest things you can do to make a difference to your lifestyle and well-being. And the other is to increase your water consumption. Drinks are the area that I have found the most difficult to change in my own diet. For more years than I care to remember, I have been somebody who has had a can of Coke pretty much every day. And it's not even that I've been not drinking Coke for that long, but I've chosen to take that out of my diet recently. And what helped with that was that I worked out why I have this Coke addiction, really. I was drinking Coke because that was introduced to me by my dad, and lots of sweets, in fact, were brought to me by my dad. And I think when he used to give me sweets and Coca-Cola, it was around, you know, he was giving me a treat, he was showing me love, he was using food almost to make me feel good. And it's over the course of the last few years that I realised I don't need any external things to make me feel good. I can do that quite easily. I'm sitting right now in my office all on my own, and I have a big grin on my face because I can feel your presence here, and that makes me feel good. And I'm talking about the subject that really fuels me, that really I find so very interesting. And so I can pretty much switch on my happiness at just by thinking the things I want to think. And I don't need any longer to see to have this can of Coca-Cola to give me my dad's love. That comes anyway. And once I worked out that that's what I was doing, it was so easy to change my can of Coke with my dinner to a glass of water. And the more I do that, the more I enjoy my water. So it's thinking about the things that you eat currently. It's looking at your story, your food stories, and taking time out to get really present with your food story and with your food, and be kind to yourself. And employing the success strategy numbers 1 through to 3 will help you have a much better relationship with food. But be kind to yourself above all else. Do not go into the mentality of the diet where it's about deprivation, where it's about denying yourself. I couldn't let go of Coca-Cola until I had worked out my story. If I was just trying to do that through a force of will and I felt like I was denying myself then I would have always gone back to it. It would have always pulled me back, because ultimately our bodies crave pleasure. And if you think you are denying yourself something, as you do when you are dieting, you will always have the reverse down the line. For every time you starve yourself of something and you deprive yourself of something, you will have counterbalance where you will possibly binge and eat more, just because we are like that. We are such amazing people, and most of the work that I do is around the mind and body, and it's looking at the brain and how the brain operates. And what's brilliant is there's so much information now, so you can find out so much more about how we do these things to ourselves. I have been an EFT practitioner for the last 9 years, I think it is now. And I studied NLP up to master practitioner level, and so my interests are around the mind. And the brain has those 3 different areas. You've got your frontal lobe, which is where you can create, where you can imagine, where you can self-project. You have your limbic part of your brain, which is where your body comes in and you need to experience things. And then you have your cerebellum, which is really to do with your subconscious, and it is however much you want to program yourself. You need to start with the frontal lobe, and you need to have a little time about you to really look at the way you think about yourself. I'm going to just now have a quick look at who is here with me. I know that there were quite a lot of people who registered for the call, but I'm not sure who is actually here right now. And if any of you who are here would like to ask any questions, I believe there is the option available, so you can just type in a question and I would be happy to have that conversation and to share more, but it would be nice to do that in the relation of answering what you want to know, rather than just getting to a point where I'm babbling. And this is only my second Damsels webinar, and I am still getting to grips with the workings of it. So I'm just looking, and sorry that I'm babbling now. It really is just lack of experience, and I will get better. Okay, so if you wanted to ask any questions, this is a great time for that. And very soon we'll get on to the next part of the webinar, which is putting some of our success strategies and ideas into practice. Nope, I'm not finding who's here at the moment. I can see that Rachel, I'm hoping I can see that you are here, which is lovely. And yeah, I'm going to move on because I still, as I say, don't have the questions coming up yet. All right, so we've gone through the success strategies 1, 2, and 3 very quickly, I guess. I've added a little bit to each of them. I would like to just share in relation to ditching the sugar one more part of this month's knowledge for me. This month at Warwick, where I go and get my own personal Damsels fix, we had the lovely Julie Williams taking the session, and she put in the ditch of sugar because of her own personal story. Julie has always had quite a good knowledge around nutrition and what to eat and what not to eat. But for whatever reason, she still came along and had a diagnosis of diabetes too, and she knew this was most likely because of her sweet tooth. And so she started working on ditching the sugar and changing her relationship with food, and where her doctors had her on medicine and she was looking after herself through the medical way, she also began to get a new relationship with her food, and she started really focusing on what she could do for herself, so much so that she got to the place where she no longer has diabetes because she has cured herself. And all of that has come about by her relationship changing and working on her sweet tooth. And I think that's quite amazing. The same is true of my husband. He has managed his diabetes, which he got last year, through his own, by changing his diet radically and changing his sugar consumption. Okay, so a lovely quote here with a beautiful picture of some blueberries is: every time you eat is an opportunity to nourish your body. You can nourish it and feed your soul by the food that you put in it, the nutrients that you put in it. You may be able to hear my dog downstairs now. But also you can nourish your body by giving yourself that much needed love and attention. Just briefly, for those of you who may be listening in and are our online members, this lets you know what our calendar is, and although you can listen into these great webinars every month, it really is highly recommended to go along to a local group and have the experience of coming together with like-minded women and sharing what your knowledge is and having their knowledge shared with you. And as you can see, June has been our health, feeding our souls, and next month it says space for serendipity, and basically we leave that space open to see what comes to light, what we want to share. And I am really happy to say that next month it's our event will be Manifesting Miracles, and just like this month, and the idea of our thoughts feeding our souls, Manifesting Miracles has so much to do with our belief system as well. And I'm really looking forward to next month's And then in August, we have our rest and recharge. It's time to go on holiday. It's possibly time to meet up with people in your local group in a much more relaxed way, possibly having a picnic or whatever, or just having time out. And then we're back in September with visibility, sharing your message. Now, that one is something I am getting better at, but I know that myself included, lots of women do have issues about getting ourselves out there and becoming visible. I've spent a lifetime of hiding, and it's only now that I am beginning to really believe that I am enough. And I have to say that that is because of this beautiful community that I am part of. Damsels in Success has made a huge impact on my life. And then in October we have self-love and self-belief. Really, the themes just come up again and again, don't they? It really is about seeing your worth and seeing that you are beautiful, and each and every one of us is. And when we begin to recognize that, it makes a huge difference. I saw a lovely quote recently, and it was a picture of a butterfly, and the idea, I can't remember the exact words, but it was, a butterfly is beautiful even though it doesn't know it. And sometimes it's only the other people that can see. Well, in October, it's about you opening up to seeing your own beauty. And then in November, because we are a network, a community for entrepreneurial women, we have social media and how to get your message out there. And then December is filling yourself up first. It's a really great program. And as I say, if you're an online member and you are ready to take the plunge, then get yourself to one of our local groups. Mine's in Enfield, and I'm always happy to welcome new people into the group. If you're already a member, you have your passport, so you can go to any one of the Damsels groups nationwide within your membership, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Okay, I love me. Just a reminder, really, just a reminder that this is an important element of being a damsel. If you're going to be a damsel in success, you need to start saying this to yourself almost on a daily basis. Every time you pass a mirror, in fact, just say it. I love me, or I love you, if you're looking in the mirror, and get really on board with that philosophy and that thought process. Okay, so now we have our integration exercise. This is a little bit different from the one that was happening in some of our local groups. I've already explained Kara's and the idea of bringing food and eating silently and being very present. In Warwick, we had the integration exercise was to think about how we could improve our relationship with food. And then Julie had brought in her NutriBullet, and so we all had a taste of one of her prepared delightful smoothies, and it really was lovely. And then she sort of told us the ingredients, all those vegetables, all the fruits that went into it, and some of I think she had chia seeds, and it's all these lovely additions that you can put in. But this is a webinar, so it's a bit hard for me to get a NutriBullet out and share with you a smoothie. Although if you have one, well, maybe it's something you can go away and do straight afterwards. So today's one is, I'm going to show you two images. The first one will be an image of processed and packaged foods. Here we go. This lovely lady holding her basket full of processed foods. And I invite you to just focus in on that basket, and I want you to think about what comes up for you. What's the energy that you get from that picture? Once you've had a look at it for a little bit, then I invite you to close your eyes and meditate on that image. And I will keep it to just 1 minute. I just want you to really think about what comes up for you. And I really must apologise about my dog Ziggy and his barking. Now, if you have paper and pen at hand, which some of you might have and some of you might not, then I'd like you to write down what came up for you as you looked at that basket of food. We've got the soft white bread, we've got custard, bisto, super noodles, pasta in a sauce, Kipling cakes and lots of different sauces. All of them wrapped up. Obviously giving you a little bit of time to write down what's come up for you. And then we're going to repeat the exercise, but this time the basket has different food in it. How does therefore your experience change? I want to focus in now on this basket. Do you feel differently about this basket? Do you feel that there is a different energy around this? Now that you've had a moment to focus in and take it in the picture, just close your eyes and sit with what's coming up for you. And then again, if you have paper and pen, maybe write down what thoughts came to your mind, the feelings that you had, and any other senses that were woken up from this basket. Maybe your sight, maybe you enjoyed this picture more, maybe you didn't, maybe it just made you feel differently. And which of those two baskets are more like your own shopping baskets? Which of those two baskets would you want to share with your friends and family? Which of those two baskets would necessitate you having to cook from scratch a bit more? And which ones are just easy, fast, and taking you away from the pleasure zone of what food can really offer you? Now, I have been, over the last couple of days, been listening in to a brilliant conference run by Mark David from the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, and it's all about the future of healing. And he is the writer of a book on slow eating. And there is a movement now to bring back our relationship with food in a really positive way, moving away from the experience of fast food and rushing and, never having enough time for anything, and bringing ourselves back to being ourselves, being happy, being present with what's going on in our life. And so I have that as a recommendation. I don't know if any of you bought this month's book. It was The Natural Healing for Women, and it's calls itself the Classic Health Bible. I have my copy in front of me, and it's really got so much wealth of knowledge in here. You've got lots of different, you've got the body systems and their diseases, you have parts about children's health, and you've got all about Materia Medica, which is all about your herbal medicine, Chinese herbs, essential oils, and then part 3 is healing ourselves. And the number 20 in the book, chapter 20, is our spiritual selves, and then 21 is our mental and emotional selves. And so I keep going back to that mind and body relationships, but for me it's mind, body and soul, and this month's was feeding your soul. And I think when you take into context just the title of this month's feed, it is about feeding ourselves a nutritional, well-balanced diet that gives us pleasure when we eat, that makes us enjoy every morsel. There is so much energy around our food, and we can add in our love when we're cooking, and we can take time to really focus on how our bodies are feeling. That 6 to 10 deep breaths before we eat brings our body back to a state of calm, even if we were stressed. And I hope that everything that I've said in relation to this topic has helped, and even if it's something that you already know, it's always, I find, great to have reminders. I'm always open to not just new learning, but to hearing something said a new way, and by somebody else saying something that resonates and validates what I already know intuitively. Okay, just want to now go into some of the other things in relation to Damsels in Success. In the month of June, I have been a director for Damsels in Success for 1 whole year. And so it was in 2014, in the January 2014, that I went along to my very first License to Lead Day. I was fortunate enough to have it as a bonus for signing up as a member at Ignite 2013. And I cannot tell you how much going to that one day of training, knowing I was going to say no, definitely not going to sign up, and then from this point on saying yes to so many things afterwards, and saying yes ultimately to me has been the best decision I have ever made. And as a member online, or somebody that comes along to our live events, it's £47 plus VAT, And if you are interested, all you need to do is talk to your local director and they will help with the process and get you signed up for a License to Lead Day, or contact the Heart Quarters for more information. We now have License to Lead Days happening across the nation. We have them in London and Manchester, Warwick, and I believe Cardiff have had their first one recently. So the idea for this is that we will be spreading our message, our mission of changing the way women live and work across the nation, and for more and more women waking up to their own unique selves, realizing that they are so very beautiful, learning to love themselves and opening themselves up to bigger and brighter futures. Who can ask for anything better than that? It's a pure joy to be a Damsel in Success director, as it is to be a member. And I will just leave you with that last little thought and take you back just very briefly to our calendar for the year, which in essence opens up our feminine core and brings us back to who we really are. Thank you for taking the time out to listen today. I have enjoyed doing this webinar. I know that there isn't many of you actually in attendance right at this very moment. I do thank Rachel for being my attendee buddy. And I hope that if you are listening to the recording of this, that you got a great deal from it. And I am going to now sign off and say thank you very much. And I look forward to spending time with you at one of our national events, or again on a webinar, or as I said before, everyone is always welcome to come along to one of the Enfield events. So this is Jules Mulcahy, Damsels Director for Enfield.